all doing well. I'm so excited for today's video, a little nervous, but I'm going to be doing my first ever reading challenge on this channel. I guess you could say. But I'm going to be reading for 24 hours, but the twist is I'm only going to be reading holiday books. So the first book that I'm going to be reading off of Libby is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. And pretty much the synopsis for this book is we get introduced to our main protagonist, and her name is Malin Jones. And let's just say she's currently facing a holiday slump. She's living with her parents, she hates her job, and on top of that, she's having a little romantic misstep, I guess you could say. And obviously this wouldn't be a proper or true novel if there wasn't an element of conflict. So to make things worse, the cabin that they pretty much spend every Christmas in, her parents have decided that they're going to sell it, and this is going to be her last Christmas spending it with all the people that she loves and she cares about. And she's just really upset, and she's like, oh my goodness, I wish we could just hold on to this cabin forever. So in a moment of desperation, she calls out to the universe and she asks the universe, like, what is going to make me happy? Why am I going through what I'm going through? And the next thing you know, she wakes up and she finds herself on a plane going to Utah, which is where her family's cabin is, and she finds herself reliving the same day or the same holiday or Christmas day over and over and over again. I guess like the funny or hilarious thing is in the process of her reliving the same day, she finds herself in a series of hilarious mishaps, setbacks, and it's pretty much May's job to unravel the mysteries of this time loop and try to find a way to break free from it while also attempting to attain or like get the attention of like her true love, or I guess you could say in this context as it says, all while attempting to land her true love's kiss beneath the mistletoe. So pretty much In a Holidays is a heartwarming, swoon-worthy romantic tale that reframes the magic of wishes for the holiday season. So I'm interested to read this novel and to kind of see what it's going to be like. I think for me personally, what really stuck out to me was just the time travel element, because in a lot of the other holiday books that I've read so far in the year, or the other ones that I've acquired, they don't really have anything to do with time travel. So let's get started. I also forgot to mention, in terms of time tracking, I'm going to be tracking time on both my iPad and my phone, and I'm just going to add the difference. So let's get started and let's start reading. Okay, update time. Hi guys, so I have been reading, I'm currently on chapter 14, and I kind of wanted to just sit down, give you a little update of how I feel about the novel so far. So pretty much the time travel element has been introduced in the novel, which I really do like. I find it's like fun, it's cute. It's exciting, you know? Another thing that I found really interesting and honestly kind of like comedic and funny is whenever May has to go back in time. Well, okay, first and foremost, let me backtrack, because right now May has went back in time 2 times already. And the funny thing is, the first time when she triggered the time travel, obviously she wasn't aware of what triggered it, and then the second time it happened, she obviously wasn't aware of why it was triggered again. So it's really funny seeing May trying to be like extra careful and trying to make all the right decisions to make, like, to prevent and to make sure like she doesn't get sent back into time, which I think is really funny. Another funny thing is we've been introduced to some other characters. So we've been introduced to Alex, and he is pretty much like, his parents are friends with May's parents, and she has had the fattest crush on Alex for so long, and it's so funny seeing the two of them interact, and it's so cute because it's just so wholesome, and you can tell that like May has like the biggest crush on him, and I feel like he's kind of oblivious about it right now, which I think is a little funny. Oh, we get introduced to another character, and his name is Benny, and Benny's a little older, and he's also friends with May's parents, and I just love the dynamic in the duo of May and Benny. They are just so funny together. I feel like so much has happened since I've started this 24-hour challenge, and I feel like it's now time for me to give you guys an update. So as of right now, how long have we been reading? I think I've been reading for 16 hours. So this is how long that I've been reading for so far for the 24-hour challenge. 16 hours and 24 minutes. Wow, that has been a long time. But the first novel that I ended up reading is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This was the first novel that I started reading. Finished it around like the 7-hour mark, and I would probably give it maybe like a 3 stars. I didn't hate the novel. I enjoyed it, but how should I put this? I think one thing I really enjoyed about it was the concept of time travel. I tend to feel like with a lot of the synopsises that I've read for holiday novels, they kind of tend to be a little repetitive, and they are kind of similar, but with this one, because there was that element of time travel in there, I was like, ooh, I feel like this could be interesting. And then again, it was different from some of the other novels that I have read previously in the past. But with this one, we follow around our main character. Her name is May. And pretty much what I really enjoyed about this novel is within the first chapter, I loved how things really just started taking off. We started to see all the mistakes that May was making. She was getting herself in situations that she did not want to be in, and she just wasn't really happy with the decisions that she was making and the trajectory that her life was going in. Once all of those events were established within the first chapter, we got introduced to the time travel element, which was the one that I was really interested to see kind of how that played out and how that was going to be relevant towards the storyline. And seeing May go through the process of like experiencing the time travel and trying to fix the mistakes that she made, one thing I really appreciated was the May that we saw in the beginning of the novel and the May that we saw towards the end of the novel were two completely different people. Because I feel like in the beginning of the novel, May was so obsessed with controlling things and making sure everything was perfect and making sure that things went her way, but then by the time she had reached the end of the novel, she was living life not necessarily in a sense where she was kind of like carefree and she wasn't like being mindful of the decisions and the choices that she was making, but she was more open to the fact that obviously there are going to be things in life that you cannot control. And just seeing her in a position where she was allowing herself to enjoy life and to not stress over things that she couldn't control was something that was really wholesome and nice to see. I also really liked the romance or the romantic element that took place between May and Andrew. It was so cute and it was wholesome. Another character that I really enjoyed reading about was Benny. Benny was so funny. I really liked him as a character and I loved his interactions with May. Like, Benny was literally May's wingman and he was always there to support her and care for her and just give her that comfort and guidance and I guess you could say like words of wisdom, I guess you could say, for lack of better terms, when she was going through difficult situations. I think another funny part that I also really enjoyed was when May was trying to explain like the whole concept of like time travel, like when she would be sent back in time and then she would be back in the situation that she was already in. When she was like trying to explain it to the people that were in the novel, it was so funny because I'm like, personally, if I was in that situation, like if like a friend or like a family member of mine came to me and they're like, oh my goodness, like I've relived this day X amount of times and I'm traveling back in time and I'm trying to figure out what like the whole purpose of this whole time travel situation is and what I need to fix and what I need to work on, I would look at them as if they were crazy because obviously like I wouldn't be able to understand that. But overall, it was a cute read. I really did enjoy it. Editing me. I was going through the footage and I realized that when I introduced this book, The 12 Days of Christmas by Jenny Bayless, the footage is just no longer there. I don't know where it went. So I'm just gonna fill in the gap right now. So pretty much we follow around our main character. Her name is Kate Turner and she's a very successful businesswoman and she also bakes goods for her best friend or her long-time best friend Matt, who owns like the neighboring cafe in their area. And then Kate also has another best friend and her best friend's name is Lauren, and she decides that she's going to sign her up for the 12 Days of Christmas. So it's pretty much this event that our small town is putting on where they send a bunch of singles out on 12 different dates with 12 different people with the anticipation and the hope that they're going to meet the one. And as Kate goes on these dates, she begins to realize that they get progressively worse and she begins to kind of give up on the idea of finding love. But little does she know that maybe she's actually looking in the wrong places, and instead of maybe going on these 12 dates, there might be somebody a little closer to home that likes her and has feelings for her. But again, you have to read the book to find that out. So that is pretty much the synopsis of this novel. But to fill in from things that I noticed that I really enjoyed about this novel that I didn't say like towards the end when I was kind of giving like a full summary, I felt like at some points when Kate was going on these dates, she was more so playing like a matchmaker instead of actually like going out and enjoying the date. She would meet a guy, he'd be great, he'd be amazing, I'll be like, this is the one. And then after the more and more she talked to the guy, she'd realize that like, oh my goodness, he still has feelings for his ex and he hasn't gotten over them. And there were very few instances where she would meet somebody else and like I was like, oh my goodness, he's really great. And then turns out like, I don't know, I guess he just wasn't ready, or you know, he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing. But long story short, that's kind of like where I am, not where I am right now, but that's kind of like how I'm gonna fill you guys in on this book. I hope that makes sense. I just finished reading another novel, and it is The 12 Days of Christmas by Jenny Bayless. So when I was reading this novel, a few things that I really did appreciate was I felt like Jenny did a really great job of paying attention to details in terms of describing like the scenery and the things that were taking place, or the scenery and like describing like the food that Kate was making in the novel. Kate had went on 12 different dates, so I feel like every single time she went on a date, whether it was an activity that they were doing where they were outside, you know, like hiking, or that they were baking something, I feel like Jenny did a really great job of describing things. Like there is a scene in the book where Kate goes to a Christmas market. I really enjoyed reading the way that Jenny described everything and how it looked in the Christmas market, and I felt like I was actually there, and I felt like it really allowed me to like really get into the Christmas spirit. Another thing that I also really enjoyed was, now like I know this kind of sounds a little harsh, but it was funny kind of reading about Kate's different dates, like how like progressively how worse they got on. Like she went on some pretty bad dates, so it was really interesting and funny to read about those dates. I think it was also really wholesome and cute to see like the little interaction, or not the interactions of the way that Kate and Matt were interacting. Like you could obviously tell the two of them like they liked each other, they really did. So seeing that play out I feel like was really cute and really wholesome. Some things that I didn't really enjoy about the novel, as I said before, there was a lot of attention to detail, but I felt like there were times where the book would go into detail about things that I felt like personally weren't necessary. Like I feel like when the author went into detail about like Matt's backstory, Lauren, and Kate's, that made sense because they were core characters in the novel. But I feel like when it came to other side characters and they were going like really in depth about like their backstories and who they were, I personally felt like that wasn't necessary, and I felt like it wasn't relevant. Another thing with this novel is this is one of those novels where it has less chapters, but the chapters are longer, and I felt like this book was only like 340 pages, but the book felt long. There were definitely times where I felt like the storyline was being dragged on. There were definitely times where I found like it was kind of hard to read and pick this book back up, just because again I felt like it was just going on for so long, a lot longer than it necessarily needed to be. I personally would have preferred if the story was condensed more and there were less pages. Like I feel like if this story had under 300 pages, I feel like in my opinion I feel like it would have been better, because I feel like there were so many parts that were added to it that in my opinion I just didn't feel like were necessary. So I think that's the biggest thing, and I think that's the reason why I would probably give it like a 2.5, maybe a 3-star. It was a rough read in my opinion, but apart from those other things, I did enjoy reading about the characters. I did enjoy reading about the 12 different dates that she went on. But yeah, in terms of time, I've been reading for roughly 16 hours. I have 8 more hours left till I finish this challenge. And the last book that I'm going to be reading, which I think it's probably going to take me maybe like the next 8 hours to finish this. Might read another one, but we'll see. But it is The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello. This is what the cover looks like. It's really cute. I'm reading it off of Libby. So the first character that we get introduced to is Leah Santos, and she is just ready for her last winter break of high school. And right now the vibes are immaculate where she is. Pretty much it's snowing in her small hometown in Holly, New York. And she's just in the mood to wear a cozy Christmas sweater and just partake in a bunch of fun Christmassy activities. On top of that, she's working at her local inn, so she's making some extra cash. And she's also moonlighting as an anonymous book blogger. Pretty much later on in the story, we get introduced to another character, and he kind of derails, or I guess you could say like he's the character that like rubs Leah the wrong way. So pretty much her boss has a nephew, and the boss's nephew, his name is Teddy Rivera, and pretty much Teddy just finds enlightenment and joy in his life by irritating Leah, and pretty much these two cannot agree on anything to save their lives, whether it's how they're going to decorate the inn or how they're going to organize the merch in the gift shop. And then one day they end up accidentally switching phones, and they begin to realize that they're actually hiding secrets from each other. And then there's also a snowstorm that takes place, and then we're going to see how that snowstorm is either going to bring these two rivals closer together or that's going to separate them apart. But that is the synopsis for The Holiday Switch. Like, it sounds cute, it sounds interesting, it's intriguing. I really hope that I enjoyed this read. It's not too long, but I've never read anything by this author before, so hopefully this is good. Hi friends, I am back. I did start reading The Holiday Switch, and currently I am on chapter 14, and I've been really enjoying the book. It's so cute, it's wholesome. I really do love reading books that are more written in a style that focuses on like puppy love, and I can definitely tell that Leah, she likes Teddy obviously, but like, I don't know, it's just so cute the way that they're going about it, because you can obviously tell that they like each other, but like they're pretending like they don't like each other in a sense. But another thing that I really do enjoy about the two characters is like the banter between them. It's just cute and it's wholesome, and it's like really lighthearted, which I really do appreciate. One thing that I really do like about Teddy's character is Teddy really pushes Leah to think outside of the box, I guess you could say, because there's a lot of things that Teddy does. Well, obviously like they think differently because they're two different people, but one thing I really do appreciate is just how Teddy has such a different perspective when he looks at things and when he does things at their workplace. And I love how his ideas enhance the work environment, but like Leah doesn't really see it that way, because she's like, she's the type of person that will always follow the rules. She goes by the book. Teddy's not really like that. He's kind of like free-flowing, kind of like goes with the flow, I guess you could say. Isn't really afraid to like bend the rules and to try different things. And I feel like seeing the two of them together is really nice, because it's really encouraging Leah to really reconsider some of the decisions that she's making in her life and allow her to realize that it's important to make decisions that, how should I put it? It's okay to take risks, and it's okay to do things that aren't necessarily considered like conventional, and your like path to like discovering who you are and figuring out what you want to do with your life doesn't always have to be like this linear path and this like straightforward plan of like, I'm gonna do step 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Like sometimes things are always gonna work out the way that you want them to, and it's okay. And I feel like we're getting to a point, or at least I'm getting to a point in the novel, where Leah's kind of beginning to like realize that and see that. So I like it. I've been enjoying it. I truly have. In terms of how long I have been reading for, I've been reading for 19 hours. So there's still a little bit to go. I've been, as I said before, it's been a good read. I think one thing I really appreciate about this storyline is it's very fast paced. It's quick. I really appreciate how the chapters aren't very long and it gets straight to the point. Another thing that I've also been appreciating is just how captivating the story is. I feel like when I'm sitting down and I'm reading this book, I truly do feel like I'm being like transported to the place that I'm reading, and I feel like I'm actually in the book where I'm in with Leah and Teddy, and I feel like I'm actually like an employee there. And time honestly just flies by when I read this, because I read this when I'm on the bus and I'm going to school, and like I'm reading this, and then before I even realize, I'm like, oh my goodness, we're already at school. Like what the heck? Like it just feels like I just got on the bus. Okay, so I just finished reading The Holiday Swap by Tiff Marcello, and right now on my clock I have only read for 22 hours. The Holiday Swap by Tiff Marcello was such a heartfelt read, and there were so many things that I was pleased about by the novel. Everything from the writing style to the characters to the flow of the novel, I truly did appreciate and I really enjoyed. So our two characters that we follow in this novel are Leah and Teddy, and with this novel specifically, I'm really pleased with the fact that it's centered more around puppy love, in a sense where it's just like really innocent and really cute and really wholesome. And I feel like because of that, it allows us to focus on other areas and aspects of the storyline. Not to say that you can't have both, but at least in this one, I feel like that was kind of more of like the emphasis, I guess you say, that like the author was trying to get towards. When I saw Leah and Teddy begin to like interact in the beginning, I could kind of see where she was coming from, because I could see why she was kind of like frustrated with Teddy. But I feel like over time, when Leah started to really take the time to like get to know Teddy, she began to appreciate that side of him that was very different from her, in the sense where, as I said before, he kind of goes with the flow. I feel like Teddy did a really good job of showing Leah that in life things don't always work out perfectly, and when you have a plan or a purpose, or if there's something that you want to pursue in life, it's not gonna necessarily happen in this perfect, you know, like recipe where it's like step 1, step 2, step 3. Sometimes you take a risk, or sometimes you take a leap of faith and things work out, and other times you do that and they don't. And I feel like Teddy did a really good job of showing that to Leah, and I feel like it really allowed Leah to understand that like life isn't necessarily meant to be perfect, and it's important to pursue things in life that you are truly passionate about and that you enjoy, and you shouldn't just do them because you want to like appease and satisfy the people that are around you. I feel like Teddy really did push Leah to take that leap of faith and to try something and to pursue something that she was really passionate about. So I feel like seeing the two of them interact in that way really allowed them to better each other, and I feel like that's where they kind of developed that sense, or I feel like that's where the connection between the two of them really built, because they could tell that they truly did care for each other and they wanted what was best for each other, and it wasn't just something that was fueled by physical attraction. So I really liked how Tiff Marcello incorporated that in the storyline. I'm trying to film in different areas of my room because I feel like I'm filming in the same place. So hopefully this looks good. But right now on my timer, I have been reading for 22 hours and 8 minutes. I really thought The Holiday Switch by Tiff Marcello was going to be the last novel that I was going to read and I was going to close this challenge, but no, that didn't happen. So I decided that I was going to read The Matchmaker Mistletoe Mission. That is a literal tongue twister, by J.C. Burton. It's pretty much the synopsis of this book is our first character that we get introduced to is Elise Weatherford, and she finds herself stranded in Red Moss Vineyard, which is pretty much in Oklahoma, and she's originally from LA, so she's not used to the snow or anything of that sort. So she is just a little frustrated just because she's in Oklahoma for her best friend's wedding, and obviously because of this big epic snowstorm, she can't go anywhere, she can't travel, she can't drive, all of that stuff. On top of that, I forgot to mention that for her profession or what she does for a living, she is a matchmaker, so she pretty much matches people together and helps them find like their soulmate or the one, I guess you could say. So in the process of doing this, Elise ends up staying with the family that is hosting her best friend's wedding, and in the process of doing this, she ends up running into a guy named Clay Henry. So Clay Henry is neighbors with the family that is hosting her best friend's wedding, and when Elise initially meets Clay, she's like, you know what, I have all this time on my hands, this man is single, I might as well try to find him a good match, and I don't know, maybe like find him a girlfriend or help him find the one. And in the process of doing this, Elise begins to realize that Clay is very different from all the other men. He's not like the other guys, I guess you could say. For Clay's perspective, or Clay's point of view, Clay is uninterested in anything that has to do with Elise helping him find a match, and he decides, or he comes to the realization that the only woman that he wants to be with is Elise, and now he must convince the matchmaker herself, which is Elise, to fall in love with him and to give him a chance. I think that this is cute. I think that this might be a cheesy novel, but I'm here for it, so I'm going to read this over the next 2 hours, and hopefully we'll be able to get this done, because on Libby it says that there's only 146 pages, so I think that is very doable. Right now, I'm currently on chapter 13. I think there's only 14 chapters for this novel, or 15? Let me go back to the front. Yes, right now I'm currently on chapter 13. There's a total of 15 chapters in this novel. Keep in mind, it's a novella. It's very short pace, so currently on chapter 13. And right now on my stopwatch, I have been reading for 23 hours and 41 minutes. So honestly, because these chapters are relatively short, I do feel like I could finish this in the next, like, 40 minutes. I feel like I'm gonna power through and I'm gonna try. But just right off the bat, I have been really enjoying this novel. I kind of wish that I had this in a paperback copy, but they only have it in like the Kindle e-version, which is kind of sad. But apart from that, a few things that I obviously like about the novel right off the bat is because this is a novella, I feel like the storyline is definitely condensed. It's shorter, it's more fast-paced, and I feel like the characters don't really have time to shenanigan or to like play around, because I feel like in a lot of the other Christmas novels that I've read, we've dealt with like some miscommunication, and we've also dealt with characters not really knowing how they feel about the other characters, or just not being necessarily straightforward with their feelings. But again, with this novel, because it's a novella and it's so short and fast-paced, I love how the characters are direct. I love how the characters know what they want and they go after it. Clay is like, Elise, I like you, I have feelings for you, and I want to see where this is gonna go. And Elise is like, okay, let's try it out. Simple, straight to the point. I really love the cozy ambiance of how they are describing the scenery, about what Clay's ranch looks like, and like the area in which Elise is in. I think that that's really cute, and I think that that's also really wholesome. I would argue that this, I mean, it does take place during Christmas time, so I guess you could say it's more so like a Christmassy read, because her friend is having a wedding during the Christmas season, so there's also that as well. Another thing is, I really, like, one thing that really stood out to me about this book is just Clay's personality. I love how intentional he is with what he does. Again, I just love how straightforward he is with Elise, and how he's not the type of guy that is just gonna, like, you know, play games or kind of just leave you, like, I guess, like, high and dry, I guess you could say. Like, he's not the type of person that's going to play hard to get. He's just straightforward and he's honest. I also love how he's just so kind and he's just really sweet with Elise. And I don't know, these two are just really cute and they're a really adorable couple. So I'm just going to be really interested and excited to see how this book is going to end and how it's going to finish off. I finished reading The Mistletoe Matchmaker, The Matchmaker Mistletoe Mission by J.C. Burton. And again, this is a cute little fast-paced novella. I really enjoyed it. In terms of the last few chapters of the novel, along with like the epilogue, I guess you could say the epilogue was really short. Not very much changed, in all honesty. The only conflict that was left was Elise and Clay trying to figure out how they're going to navigate their relationship, because Elise is originally from LA and Clay lives in Oklahoma. And again, because like Clay is like a rancher and he lives like on this big farm, and he's specifically like a cattle rancher, obviously he can't just like pick up and leave because his entire like livelihood and like his lifestyle is in Oklahoma. I really do appreciate how they actually had a conversation and they sat down and talked about how they feel or how they felt, which I tend to find in some other novels that's not the case, or at least that's not the case right away, shall I say. I really do appreciate how, again, things were just straightforward, things were fast-paced. I really feel like if this novel was longer, there definitely would have been more room for like shenanigans, and I felt like there just would have been more room for misinterpretation and just misunderstanding each other. But again, with this novella, it was fast-paced, it was quick, the chapters are very easy to read. I liked Elise and Clay as well as like characters. It was really interesting reading about the wedding that Elise had went to for her best friend, and just seeing Elise finally allow herself to be happy and to be cared for and to be loved was something that I think was really cute. The ending was wholesome. There was a part in the ending where I was reading it and I was like, girl, be for real. The ending was kind of like, it wasn't the most like realistic in my opinion, but it made sense. I've officially finished this reading challenge with 23 hours and 57 minutes. That's so crazy. I can't believe I've been reading for that long. That was a while. It definitely was. That is it for my reading for 24 hours challenge. I was kind of taken aback by how many novels I read. I read 4 novels in this challenge, which I find to be really crazy, because honestly, if I actually like sat down and read for 24 hours, I don't think I would have been able to read for the 4 hours straight, but I feel like breaking up and like chunking up my reading time significantly helped. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!